Very good afternoon to all the wonderful viewers who have logged in today for this awesome show. And I am excited to have you all with us today. I'm Sangeeta Shankran Sumesh. I'm the Gain Enabler. How do I enable gains? Because I'm a chartered accountant, a CFO turned business coach, a best-selling author of What the Finance, Get High, How to Coach Yourself for High Performance, and Where is the Moolah? And it's such a privilege because I'm going to be asking some awesome and amazing questions to the cool CEO. Who is the cool CEO? None other than Sanjay Sehgal. He is the chairman and CEO of the MSIS group of companies, and Sanjay is a global leader, an award winning entrepreneur, and a technology CEO. Sanjay's upbeat, creative approach to business and life has featured him in many newspapers and magazines across countries. Sanjay is also a startup advisor, a motivational keynote speaker, a philanthropist, and most importantly, a mindful and a heartful human being. So I'm delighted to have Sanjay today with us. So, Sanjay, warm welcome to you.
Thanks, Sangeeta. Thanks for being with you again. And I think I have to. It's a very big act to follow to now act like a cool CEO, as you called me.
I'm sure that comes naturally to you.
Right.
Yes, so we have some awesome questions from viewers, and the first one, which I would like you to answer, is: in your opinion, what is better, being diplomatic or open-hearted, and being upfront when it comes to expressing our opinion? What is your take on that?
Trick question. I would say being diplomatically open and upfront. How about that? Well,
I'm sure you should. Yeah.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
You should throw some more insights because how does one be open-hearted and diplomatic at the same time?
Well, I think, see, I feel that I think there are situations where different situations demand different things. But I mean, I personally, can never be anything but open-hearted. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you hurt someone. I mean, sometimes, like recently we were recording something about telling a lie, right? We're giving an example of your friend had a very bad haircut, and after a long time, and he comes to meet you, and now you be diplomatic? Do you tell a lie, or you tell him you had a horrible haircut? I mean, you don't want to break his heart, right? So your being open-hearted upfront may break his heart. So always be, I would say, be cognizant of the impact it's going to have on another person. And this is such a small thing, right? I mean, haircut, right? But I'll tell you one thing that I have learned recently. I want to tell for the benefit of all the audience that I've recently, last few weeks, I have done a course called Heartful Communication, and it has been. I mean, I am not really one of those guys who attend a lot of courses to learn. Not that I don't want to learn. I rather learn through my conversations with people like you or other people, and then going through a very structured course. But this has been one of the best courses I have ever attended in my life. And I think a couple of things that I've learned, crux of the whole course has been that everyone has a need, and that need gives rise to a feeling. So once we realize that everyone who's asking you a question or who's reacting with you, they are responding to a need they have, whether you like that need or not. Now it's up to you whether you want to crush their need, you want to uh, fulfill their need, or you tell them in a manner that takes care of their need and also takes care of what you want them to do. And the second thing they say is that don't never judge others. I mean, this is something we all know that we shouldn't judge others because we will be judging them through our own colored glasses, right? And third thing that I learned from that is remove the pressure of being right from yourself. Most of our conversations, you know, whether it's open-hearted, upfront, or diplomatic, we like to be right. If I don't have that pressure, I can be genuine, upfront, open-hearted, and it will be diplomatic in some other definition. But actually, I will be open-hearted and upfront, right? Without being diplomatic. If I can remove the pressure of being right. Someone asks me, I just tell them as it is at that point in time, while realizing that they have a need why they are asking this, and I should crush their need. I hope it, you know,
Yes.
it,
Yes, amazing 3 points. Yes, amazing 3 points, and I particularly liked not being judgmental. As a coach as well, that's what we have been taught. Like, it's not really good to be judgmental because you never know what the other person is going through. So I think that was some three amazing gems that you shared, Sanjay. So thank you so much. The question that was asked was by Arun T. The next question that's coming up is from Prashant Pawar. And what Prashant would like to know is, what are the three habits that will help us improve life? So, what is your take on that?
you see, number one habit that has stayed with me all these years is the habit of meditating regularly. I know many of us know about meditation, may have tried also off and on, but very rarely we adopt that as a habit which we do on a daily basis. To me, habit means that you actually do every day or do often, right? And that has really helped me, in everything else that I have done. And other habit, is really being, I would say, being aware of the moment, which of course leads from the meditation. Meditation leads you to be aware of every moment in your life. I think most of us will lead our life. In our North India, we say "eme," meaning just like that. In Chennai, you would say "chumma," right? Right?
Yes,
It's a correct translation, right? And I think if
absolutely.
you, and I am not saying that we have to be serious towards things of life, but I think it's more than "eme" or "chumma" or just casual. It's being aware. And being aware now, if I go back to that, I mean, how you, which is better, diplomatic, open-hearted, and upfront, you will realize if you are aware of yourself, you are aware of others, you are aware of your surroundings, and that will lead you to the third habit, that is staying focused on task at hand. I think whether it is a startup, often I talk to the startup CEOs, the founders, and all that. It's pretty much the same thing. Whether you are, in my view, an entrepreneur is not the guy just who is starting a business, but a guy even working in the mailroom, right? If he could adopt these three habits, one, being meditating regularly, which leads to being aware and alert in your daily activities, and the third, staying focused on task at hand. If you are with your family, stay with your family. If you're watching TV, watch TV. If you're doing work, do work. And I can tell you, many people may tell, I mean, who have known me for a number of years, that I am the master of multitasking myself. But I, for them and for my own self, I'm sharing this, that I have reduced that a lot. I've learned now, you can say all these gray hairs, a sign of those, that learning that multitasking is, I would say, is overstated, you know, and it's not necessary. I think if we can learn to do one task at a time, I think we will live our life in a much better way than we have done so far.
Yes, that's absolutely amazing. Meditation. I'm also into meditation. I've been meditating regularly for the past many years. So I totally agree with you on that. And I love this thought on, the multitasking bit, which is so true, because once you tend to multitask, you tend to lose focus and the best in you doesn't come out many times. So thanks a lot for sharing that, Sanjay. The third question is,
Sangeeta, I'll just share something funny about this multitasking. How I, this the whole thing of not being a multitasker, that I always took pride in being one. Somebody once, I was watching someone standing. This was pre-COVID time. I was watching someone standing in the security line at an airport. Right, the guy had a phone in his, sorry, the burger he was eating in his one hand, phone on the other hand, and and he was pushing his bag because both hands are busy. So he's pushing his bags which are lying on the floor. And then I mean, in between, somebody called him. I mean, the security guy asked him some question. So he was already doing three things: pushing his bags, eating burger, talking on the phone, and now he has to respond to a person. So he's put his phone like this, between his ears and his shoulder, and responding to this guy. I mean, he had four things. Only guy perhaps may have asked him for his ticket. So he did like this, put his hand in the jacket pocket to bring out ticket. I thought, man, is this me? If that was me, I don't like that. You know, well, I
True.
mean, the guy could have eaten later, could have, pushed that call to a later time. I mean, I think there are so many things we can do. But anyway, that's. I thought I'll just share that funny anecdote with you.
Thank you, thank you. That was a lovely tidbit that you shared, and I know it's like that's literally being hands full, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes, yes, with so many things around. Yeah, true. And I think we tend to do that at work as well, instead of focusing one task and then following it up with the rest. If you were to take up everything, I guess that's what happens. And I think that's a lovely way of putting it across. Thanks for sharing that, Sanjay. We have the third question from Priyanka. And what Priyanka wants to know is how important is it for a leader to be a role model for others? What do you have to say on that?
See, Sangeeta, it's a very good question. It's not just a leader. First of all, nobody needs to focus on being a role model. Role model is not a is a title or is a job description or something that you do. But as they say, famous popular saying goes that values are not taught, they are caught. Right? I'm sure you would have heard that, right? The values or any teaching for that matter, they're never taught, they're caught. So it means we as human beings, whether we all are parents, we all are senior, I would say leaders or managers, or even when you're driving on the road, right? I mean, other people are watching us, no? So it's not that they are watching and by watching they're learning from us, but if they know you, they are watching you, they are, hopefully they can learn from you based on how you do things. If you are impressive enough for them, if you are convincing enough for them, if you are genuine enough for them, if you are authentic enough for them, they will learn from you. So I think if you look at it from that perspective, leader or no leader, everybody is a role model for someone. But I think instead of focusing on that, if you focus on how we lead, how we be a parent, how we be a good driver, how we be a good worker, how we be a good cook, how we be a good speaker, how we be whatever we do to the best of your abilities, and rest will follow. But I mean, leaders do have this responsibility in a way. Leader to me, let's say you're a manager and you have some people that you manage in your workplace. You do have this responsibility that others will follow what you do. So you better say, shape up or ship out, right? You better shape up, right? If you are a person responsible for the livelihood of few people in your workplace or in your home, right? Others are dependent on you. So it's very important for you at some layer of your mind to realize that. Be aware of that. That's not just your own life. When you're driving on the road, it's not just your own life of others who are driving around you. So it's not really a role model role here or role model thing here. You are responsible for this. Based on the turn you take, others will follow. And they may not take the turn, but they will at least give you way, right? As an example. Same thing. Whether leader, no leader. You are a role model every moment of your life because in most of the cases, our cases, It's not just our life, our food, our daily existence, but others who are around us and is dependent on us. I wish we were in a jungle just living the life by ourselves, but we are not. Even there, some animal's life is dependent on you, or plant life is dependent on you, right?
Right. I know. Amazing. I think being a role model, irrespective of one is a leader or not, I think that is something very crucial, very important that you touched upon because, like you rightly said, there are people who are observing, every other person. Definitely, yes. People are being looked upon as a role model, and it's a great example. Thanks for sharing that, Sanjay. So we have another question on leadership. Now, this is from Jana, and what he says is managing the team and getting the self updates on work would make a good leader or not. So he wants to know whether you agree or disagree and why.
I don't know whether I understand fully the meaning of this word self updates on work. Um, I don't know whether I kind of, but I think I have, given an elaborate thing that on the previous answer that what a leader or no leader should do in his or her life. But I think if self updates, let's say, means being more self aware, being more, I would say, cognizant of yourself at every moment or various moments, yes, of course. And definitely I agree. And I think that, again, as I said in the previous response, that leader or no leader, I think we, as we grow up or grow older in our life, we sooner we realize that it's never just our own lives, life of others around us. Even if you are not married, you may have roommates, you may have neighbors. If you're driving, riding in a bus, whatever. Now these days, so important to realize that if you're not vaccinated, or even if you're vaccinated, to move around in public wearing mask. Now, are we being a role model by wearing mask or not wearing mask? Right? So I think it's very important for us to realize that. But I think to Jana, I would say that yes, if you mean by your question, you mean to ask that being self-aware, yes, you should be, and getting feedback from your team, yes, you should get that. From your other people that you work with, yes, you should, and you should definitely be taking and making self-correcting yourself as a when that'll be helpful to you.
Yes, I'd agree with you, and I hope Jana is happy with what you answer you gave. The next question is a personal favorite of mine, and it's been asked by Sandeep. And what he wants to know is, why do you personally care about embedding inclusion and belongingness in our culture? Because I think right now diversity, inclusion, belongingness, equity, all these are like hot favorite topics, and definitely I think all the diverse thoughts make a huge difference and impact. So Sanjay, even I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this.
No, absolutely. I feel, I think it's sad that we have to talk about this, embedding diversity, inclusion, and sense of belongingness in our culture is unfortunate, See, Indian culture has always been known to be very inclusive because we always have had, I would say, variety of languages and food habits and working style and accents and everything, right? And multiple languages to begin with. I mean, you may have heard that joke that they said, "What would you call a person who knows many languages, multilingual, two languages, bilingual, and one language?" The joke in US has always been American. You know, only Americans know one language. But I think we in India grew up in a culture where we have had multiple languages, and not that in US people don't know multiple. Many people know many other languages, European languages. Spanish is a second spoken language in US. Many people speak that, and say so is French. I mean, in fact, they start teaching you second language right from your school. I think first or second grade itself, French or Spanish, or you have to choose a second language. So I think now coming to that, I mean, knowing that we have, it has been tried by the system, it has been tried by our culture, it is part of our, that culture and our upbringing to be inclusive, to create that sense of comfort and belongingness in others. It's unfortunate that at workplaces we have to bring that specifically back because we find it missing, right? And two guys from south in a company, if I may take India as an example, they'll start looking at the guy from north, or vice versa, or men or women, or a taller guy or shorter guy. I mean, they could be. I mean, it's kind. This kind of thing can go on. And I think if any workplace can take extra effort in creating that sense of diversity, inclusion, respect for diversity and inclusion in their workplaces, I think that will be the ultimate mantra of growth. Because we, as species, human species, as I mentioned earlier, we are interdependent. Whether it be your neighbor, family, people on the road, people at work, we are interdependent. Nothing happens in silos, nothing happens by itself. We are, how you're going to drive depends on how others drive, or how you're going to survive driving on the road depends on how others drive, right? So I think it's very, very important. Coming back to the workplace, it's very important in today's workplace. As people are mobile, we're finding that people are working all over the world. I mean, it's not just within India and south, north, east, west. I mean, people are working, and people of different various genders, various nationalities, various regions. They all work together. So it's very important for us to learn to transcend, our that, what we call it as that identity that we associate ourselves with. That, oh, I am a, you know Hindi speaking or Tamil speaking or this or that, right? I mean, that's, I had an opportunity to grow up in an area where Tamil was spoken or Hindi was spoken, right? I am much more than just that, right? I think once I am able to understand that, I think I will be able to create that sense of belonging in everyone.
Yes, beautifully said, Sanjay. It resonates a lot with me. Thanks for sharing that. And then we have a question from Pandya Rajan. He wants to know how to remain calm at all times in life, no matter what happens.
Breathe a little, right? Well, you may have heard of breath control, pranayama, mindfulness, heartfulness. These things help. These things do help to remain calm, especially if you lose your calmness at any given time. But I would say that, you know, if, as I mentioned earlier, the first answer about heartful communication, that if you realize that everyone, every situation has resulted because someone has a need that has to be fulfilled, however bad or unjustified that need may be, and that you don't have to be right all the time. If you remove that pressure from you, I think in most of the situations you can then be calm, and then would come, few other situations, and if you can learn to meditate, if you can learn to meditate, it would help you remain calm. Still, there may be moments where you're, like they say, we call it circuit breakers, or your hot buttons, get pressed, or your circuit gets broken. It may still happen. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. After all, you're all human, right? They say to err is human, to forgive is divine. There's an old saying in English, right? We're all human beings. So at times you may still make mistakes, and I think learn from it. If you are self-aware, you learn from it, correct yourself moving forward, things like that. So I think that hopefully that helps you.
Yes, thank you. for sharing that, Sanjay. Meditation definitely, it is probably like the key to many challenges that one faces. So you rightly said that. Now we have a lot of questions pouring in from the live viewers. So we have Kavita who's asking, if being blunt is considered good, then why do some folks have to pay the cost of it, be it in any arena? Will that make the person feel let down?
If being blunt is considered, then why do some folks have to pay the cost for it, be it in any arena? Well, I think I never said that being blunt is good. Being blunt is never good, right? Being blunt is, if you remember this, Kavita, that whatever you do, you have to bear the consequences of it. Be ready for it. You can't blame others, right? So being blunt is not considered good. In fact, I said be diplomatically blunt. That's how I started the conversation, right? I think again I'll go back to this. Realize that other person is asking you this based on his or her need. His need may be to feel secure. His need may be to be loved. His need may be, to find some respect. Now you may or may not feel that he deserves respect, love, or caring, or whatever the need comes out to be. But then it's your choice. You have to make that choice whether you want to fulfill that need for the person or just be blunt and blow him off, right? But if you do that, then be ready to pay the cost for it, right? But if you are, suppose you are able to realize the need of the person, choice, then the onus of that thing is on you. You have understood the need of the person. I still want, give it all to him. Give it all to him, but he may give it back. Be ready for it. Or you may think, well, he's like a little child. Let me pamper himself. It's okay. I don't have to be right, right? So you can just say, yes, yes, what you said is 100% correct. You don't have to be right. Let him be right for once. And you'll find things will change completely. I think, I feel, this being upfront, open hearted, all these are a bit overstated. It's not, being aware is, because you may, oh, this guy said this, I just felt like this and said it. Imagine, if if it was all physical, if everyone was moving around on the streets with knife and we could kill everybody, nobody will be left alive, right? Or if every bad word we speak actually kills a person, people, there will be zero population on Earth, isn't it? Because we say many harsh words to many people in the course of a day, right? Fortunately, they don't die because of that, right? But if it hurts them, it's, think that something has died in them. Why say it, right?
True.
So being blunt, being open-hearted, no. If your heart can never tell bad things, if you really listen to your heart, it will not tell bad things. And while I'm saying this, it's not that I have learned 100% or I do that 100%. I'm learning myself. Work in progress.
Yes, we are all work in progress. Absolutely, yeah. So, in fact, Kavita has a follow-up question, and she says, "What will be the long-term effect of this situation as shared?" Would be glad to hear on your views on this.
See, if you are blunt and you feel face the consequences, I mean, sooner or later you may have nobody left to talk to you, right? So I think, you know that is the answer to your second question. Long-term effect would be you may not have a job, may not have a family, may not have friends because you're blunt all the time. They can only take so much of blunt kavita, right?
Yes, true. We have another question from Prabhat Mishra. He says, "Why things change? Always situation to situation."
Well, change is, they say there's only one thing which never changes, and it is the change itself. Change itself never changes, everything else
Correct,
changes.
correct,
Right?
yeah.
So that answers your question. Things will change. That's how we grow. That's how, why temperatures change, why natures change. Nature around us changes, right? Today you look at a tree has, let's say, few 100,000 leaves. Tomorrow it may have more or less. I mean, everything is changing. There's a saying, I think, if I remember correctly, you never pass through the same wave second time if you're standing in the beach. So I don't know how the verbatim, I don't know, but it means like that. That things are constantly, even if you're standing on the beach and the water is coming and going, no two waves will be same. It will always be different. Change is a constant in our life. Nothing else is constant.
True. That's true. Yes. So Prabhat also has one more question. He says, "Can you please suggest a good book for meditation?"
There is, I think most of you know, I do heartfulness meditation, and I have been doing it for 30 years. And if I may call it, the core book or the Bible or whatever, Gita of Heartfulness Way or Heartfulness Meditation is a book called The Heartfulness Way. It's available on Amazon, Flipkart, and everywhere. And I would highly recommend that if you want to learn meditation. Very, very good book. It's a, and then the follow-on book to that was called Designing Destiny. We often think our destiny is fixed. The book talks about how you can design your destiny. Things you can change, right? Your destiny. And that book is the follow-on book. I would recommend these two books if you can read, and feel free to give me feedback after reading.
Nice. Thanks for recommending those two books, Sanjay. We have a question from Ramesh Gopal, and he says, "My question is, please provide us an effective way to plan things for every day." And he also wants to hear a few words from you on time management.
Ramesh, if it is possible for you to make as many things as possible part of your daily routine, right? Instinctive, so that you don't have to think too much about them. Like you don't think before washing your face in the morning, or brushing your teeth, or going to the bathroom. If you can make them as part of, as natural part of your daily routine as possible, it will be good for you. And for other things, yes, you plan, and I think there are, I mean, there are many books or many techniques. They say you write down things that are pending, and start your day when you are most fresh in the morning. Start your day, the freshest time of your day, with by doing things which are the toughest. Often people like to do easy things, and then do the toughest things are left at the end of the day, and at that time you're tired to take up any tough thing, right? Any difficult thing. So start with the most difficult things, right? List out all the things, see them difficult tasks, start with the difficult ones first. And as day passes, of course, you have only easy ones. The other thing which I have learned, and especially during pandemic, it has helped me a lot, is that reward yourself after doing any tough thing. Like, have a coffee, right? I think I have this thing that I will finish responding to all my emails, any proposals pending, any agreements to be signed, any tough, difficult situations or conversations to be had, and that by the time I finish that, it'll be 9:30 a.m. or 10 a.m. I say, okay, now it's time for a nice coffee, nice espresso. So I reward myself with that, right? And that really relaxes me, and I just completely forget about what has happened in the morning. And then you go to the next couple of hours by doing few more things, and I think plan like that your day, not just list of things, but in between add breaks where you reward yourself, right? And you'll find that'll keep you going longer. When I told you, I by the time it's 9:30 or 10, I finish most of my difficult things. It means I start very early, finish all those things first, difficult ones, pending ones, night time backlog or whatever, right? Because most of us are very global. By the time I get up, there are a pile of emails in my mailbox. Finish all those things by 9:30, 10. When day starts for most of the people, and I think then I can actually go about doing the regular transactional stuff. It makes it very easy.
Amazing, Sanjay. That was really nice and useful. I'm sure Ramesh would feel enriched hearing from you. And since we've almost, been live for quite some time, I think it's time for us to say thanks to all the viewers for logging in and watching it. And I'm sure they found a lot of insights hearing to your words of wisdom. So once again, thank you very much, Sanjay, for sharing. And thank you all for joining us live. It was amazing to have you all. And I'm sure Sanjay will be sharing a lot more in the weeks to come. So thank you once again, Sanjay, and thank you, everybody. It was awesome to have everybody here.
Thank you. Thanks, Sangeeta, and thanks everyone for joining. Looking forward to more such sessions. Thank you.